Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to the channel. I know we're 5 minutes early, but I'm just on 5 minutes early to make sure I got my audio right before we get into the topic of the show. So, just in another 5 more minutes, I'm gonna finish up this little snack that I'm having before the live. Get some water, and I'll be right back to get right to it. Oh, all right. Just another 3 minutes. And now we're at 8:57. We're gonna start the convo at 9 p.m. Let's do this quick audio check. Audio check. Audio checker. Testing. 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 All right. So the audio seems to be correct. Got some hydration. It's always good to have hydration. Whew. All right. So tonight's live stream is about, tonight's live stream is about allowing people to go on their own journey. I know from the outside looking in, it might seem like they're struggling. It might seem like they're having an extremely hard time to go, on their way. Who knows where they're going? You might be you're on the outside looking in and thinking like, wow, I need to step in and help. Wow, they don't know what they're doing. They need someone to assist. And who better to assist than me? Even though they didn't ask for your help. They didn't even ask you, but you want to put yourself in the way while they're on their way, wherever they're going. They're on their destined path to go wherever they're going. And you want to put yourself in the way. What makes you think that putting yourself in their way is the way for you? What makes you think that? You know? What makes you think putting yourself in their way while they're on their way and you were on your way, now you're going to get off of your way and get on their way, get into their way, and they didn't even ask for your assistance? That's the thing. Because sometimes they ask for your assistance and you give it to them, and then you step back. You step back and you watch what they do with it. You observe, right? And it may be one time where they ask for your advice and you give them your advice. You take your good time out. You know, you take yourself off of your way to say, okay, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to prioritize you and give you some advice. I was doing what I was doing. I was on my way. But I'm going to do this. And who knows how long that advisory session may take. It may take a whole day, you know. It may turn to an all day affair. You might hang out with the person, you know, take them to wherever you were going, have lunch, you know, have a conversation. It might be a all day thing. That's very much possible, you know. It happens like that. It does. It happens like that because you're the type of person. You're a loving, you're a compassionate, you're empathetic, you're a understanding person. You're a patient person. You're a virtuous soul. You know, so you look at it like it's nothing. You know, like okay, I can give this person a day and tell them everything that I believe that they should consider. And then what if they don't use the advice? And that may be, you know, the first time around. So you might say, okay, they didn't get it the first time, you know. They didn't get it. They didn't, you know, understand it. So maybe I need to give it to them again. And this time I'm gonna be a little bit more passionate about it, and they're gonna get it, and they're gonna change, and everything will be fine. And then you give it to them again, and they don't get it. You know, they don't get it. They continue on their way, which they have every right to. That's the whole point. They have every right to. They may never implement your advice ever, but you have taken your time out from another engagement that you might have had, but you felt compelled. You felt so compelled that, you know, the struggling person, right, that you think is struggling, that you think is suffering, because you're on the outside looking in, and you guys' values aren't the same. You don't share the same values. So what may be suffering for you and what may be struggling for you might be a good time for them. They may be having the time of their lives. And now they got you. Now they got the compelled one who's compelled to want to save someone that doesn't need saving because they're on their way. They're doing exactly what they want to do. Now, sometimes to just keep you around, they'll act as if, you know, they don't have it all figured out, or, you know, they're having a hard time, because now they know that they have you. They have the virtuous one. They have the virtuous one to save the day that doesn't need saving. So you have to learn to allow people to walk their path at the rate that they want to walk it, you have to allow them to do it, because they don't have to change. There is no guarantee that with you, your advice, your love, your friendship, your um your way is going to change them. And why would you want them to change? You can't want change for anyone but yourself. If someone's going to change, they're going to change. They're going to change. But you wanting the change for them, you can't want the change for them. They must want the change for themselves. So take that want, or take that F that you want to give it and go F yourself. You know what I'm saying? Take that want that you want for them to change and give that want to yourself and change yourself. That's what you got to do. That's what you have to do. All right. And that's what it is. I know it's tough, but guess what? This stuff applies, if you've been listening to the other live streams that I've posted on this channel, which I've been very consistent. Like I said, I'm going to be consistent going live on this channel all the time, talking about topics like this, and a whole array of topics, we're going to touch on everything on this channel. And if anybody has, a topic that they would like to discuss on this channel, drop it in the comments. And we'll definitely have a discussion. But back to the point. Back to the topic of this evening's live stream. This has to apply to all relationships in life. And I know at times we think that we have to be different with different relationships in life. But this is love. This is what love is. Love is allowance. Love is allowing people to be simply, there's nothing after that. Love is allowing one to be. So this brings me to my next point. What do you think is the best way to help someone? Okay. All right. What I believe, what I know as the best way to help another is to lead by example. That is the best way. It's the easiest way. Lead by example. There's a lot of people on the internet. There's a lot of people everywhere you go that say, you got the people out there that say, oh, this is how you get rich. And this is how you do this and do that. But when you do an evaluation of, you take a closer look, the person is not rich. The person that's telling you how to make $20 million doesn't have $20 million. So then that same person is wondering why no one wants to hear no one is listening to them. Because the proof is always in the action. That's where the proof is. So you lead by example. So if you see somebody struggling, you lead by example. That's the best way, because you don't have to do this. You can shut it up. You could that way you use your energy for the action. You lead by example. When you have kids, if your child sees you smoking from young, they watch you smoke. Oh, dad smokes, mom smokes, dad drinks, mom drinks, dad exercises, mom exercises, um, dad cooks, mom cooks. They're watching you. They're watching. So if you turn around and say, oh, I don't want to see you smoking, you find out that they're smoking or that they're drinking, you're wondering, how could that happen? You're wondering, how could it happen? So how do you address that? You got to address it virtuously. You must, at that point, you must address it virtuously with patience and compassion, empathy, kindness. You have to, because you set the standard. So if you go to them and say, angry, and say, why are you drinking? Why are you smoking? Why are you doing that? They can simply say, Dad, I watched you do it. What are you going to say? You can't say anything. So that's why it's so important to lead by example. You must lead by example. You must. Because if not, your credibility is just shot. So the best way to help someone who you may believe is struggling from your perception, because like I said, they may be having the time of their life. They may be enjoying it every step of the way. But you have two different sets of values. So what is what would be a struggle to you, what would be agonizing for you, is enjoyable for them, and that is okay. If they want to live like you be the example that they can watch and say, oh, I want to live like Pesh. You see the way Pesci live? I want to live like him. Look, watch him. Watch what he does. You know what I'm saying? And it's that simple. And now if they come to you and say, listen, I want to live like you. How do I do it? Now you give it to them. You give them the game as much as you can. You know? So this brings me to my next point. And the next point is, and this one is a deep one. This one is deep because there's a lot of emotions that can be very violent. Like, it's electric, You can get electrocuted with this one. So now that the person comes to me and says, yo, I want to live like you, what do? I say, all right. I take my time out and give them the game. They don't apply it. What do? Do I have resentment and say, yo, talking crap and this and that? Nah. Here's one of the plays. Here's the play. You the coach and the player and the owner. and the commissioner and the GM, right? So here's the play that you write up for yourself. It's called the give and go. No strings attached. You give the game and you go on your way. You don't got to give the game and then watch over them and say, oh, did you do it yet? Is it done? Did you do it? I'm watching you. I'm going to sit here and watch you all day. I'm going to make sure you do it. Yup. Nah, it's not how it works. You give and you go. That way you don't miss a beat. It's like, because you don't care what they do with it. That's not important to you. They asked and you delivered, and that's it. Boom, I'm out. That's it. When UPS drop a package to your door, or Amazon drop, FedEx, whoever, when they drop off the package, boom, once you sign for that, or even if you got to sign, they leave it there, they leave it at your door, and they on to their next delivery. They on to their next job. They are on their way. They don't care what you do with that package. They don't care, right? So it's a give and go. You give that game and you go. It's like if you pull up anywhere, if you bump into somebody that's a homeless person, and it may look like they do drugs. You might know them for doing drugs, you know? It might be a homeless person that's in your neighborhood and they drink or they smoke, whatever they smoke. You know, there's some type of addict, right? And they ask you for $5. What you gonna do? You're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna give you $5, but you better not buy liquor. I'm gonna give you $5, but you better not buy dope. Nah, that's not how it works. If you're going to give, you give, and that's it. You give, and that's it. Stop giving with strings attached to what you give. Stop loving with strings attached to your love. The love is the action. That's it. Once you put a stipulation on the love, then how was that love? Whatever that person does with that $5, that is their business. It is 100% their business. You have nothing to do with it at that point. It's either you're going to give it or you're not. But if you do give and go. So that way there's no resentment. So when somebody is on their journey, you don't get in their way because now you're getting in their way. You don't ever want to get in somebody's way. You want to stay on your course. You want to stay on your way because on your way is where all of your experiences are, all of your treasures, your pot of gold, you know, everything that is for you is on your way. If you go on their way, now you're going to be living their life. And guess what? That's going to be a miserable experience for you. So it's so important that you can't even allow the giving make you believe that you have some type of authority in their life. Don't allow that to happen. Give and go. So that way there is no resentment and the love is always pure and you remain virtuous. You embody the virtuous, the loving being that you are. You know what I'm saying? You embody it. So like I was saying, when somebody is on their journey, If you have a friend and they're going through something, you just let them go through the experience. You let them go through it because it's obvious that they need this. As bad as it may look, it's what God gave them to go through. And you're trying to get in the way, and you are going to get trampled. You are going to get stomped on. You're going to get walked over, and nobody's going to help you. The only thing that's going to help you is you getting back to you. That is what is going to save you. But if you get in that person's way, whether you think your heart is in the right place or not, because most of the times we believe that our heart is in the right place, but your heart is not in the right place in somebody else. Your heart is in the right place when it is in you. And when it's in you, it is virtuous. That's when your heart is in the right place. That's when your heart is in the right place. That's when your heart can heal. That's when your heart can save. But it has to save you first. Your heart has to always be with you. But you can share from the heart. You can share from the heart. But you don't want to put strings on the heart. You know? You want the heart to resonate. The end, you know? You want the heart to speak for itself. But you don't want the heart to have strings, because if it has strings, then that means that it's attached. And you want your heart to be free. So that way, it is allowed to make the unforced interactions that are pure. So allow people to be on their way. Don't get in their way, because it's not going to end nicely for you. It won't, because you're out of pocket. You're out of pocket. All right. So I may have to cut this one short this evening, but I think that I have touched on, most of the things that I wanted to touch on. Right? Yep. Pretty much. Another point, the reason why you have to allow people to go on their way is because life is the greatest teacher. Life is the greatest teacher. The nuances, the little lessons that people learn along the way, those are the lessons that hold the breakthrough. Those are the lessons that when you get the epiphany from the small lessons, the nuances on the journey. Those are the lessons where you get the aha moments. Like, oh, wow. That's what that is. That's how I do that. That's what I want. That's what I've always imagined. Wow. It's like you may have a what you call it? What do they call it when you feel like you've been there before? A deja vu. You may have a deja vu, like, oh crap, I've been here before. So you got to allow them to go on their way, because life is the greatest teacher. It's the greatest teacher. And when you get in their way, you're going to learn the lesson too. All right. Yeah. So the other 2 points were, detach or prepare to be drained is what happens when you get over your path and hop on somebody else's way. You're going to be drained. because they'll keep on hitting you up. Once somebody knows that they got you, they're like vampires. They'll sink their teeth in you. And sometimes, because some of these people are professionals too. Don't get it twisted. You might be naive. As much as you think the other person is naive, you're the naive one, because they'll sink their teeth in you and they'll be so good at it that you won't even realize that they're all the way in and they done already drained a gallon of blood from you. They already drained a whole month's worth of energy from you. And you won't realize it until you realize it. All right. So that's why it's important. For the fourth point, that's why it is important to know when to step aside and protect your energy. You can love them, but don't cripple them. Step back so they can feel the weight of their own choices and responsibility. If you always and consistently, and sometimes it's without asking, so you can't even blame the other person, they just might reach out to you and say, today this happened and I had a bill to pay and it was such and such, and this happened and that happened, and this is gonna be the consequence of that. And you'll say, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it for you. They didn't ask you. Maybe they were genuinely only calling you to just get something off of their chest, and that was it. But you insisted. Now, if you're gonna insist and then and do it and help them, quote unquote help them, then don't attach any strings to it. Give and go. Give and go. But you got to know when to step aside and protect their energy. Sometimes when somebody calls you and they have a dilemma, just hear them out. Hear them out. And allow it to play out. Because it is important that they understand the magnitude of their choices and they are allowed to be responsible. Allow them to be responsible. Why are you stealing their right to be responsible? Why are you doing that? Don't you have your own responsibilities that you need to tend to? Allow them to be responsible. Let them figure it out, Let them practice figuring things out. Let them put the puzzle together and realize, like, oh, I had everything I needed. Because sometimes, most of the times, all of the times, we have everything that we need. We have it all. But we have to sit with ourselves so we can see it. So allow it to happen. All right. So I got to cut this one short this evening, but it's always a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. When the stream is seen around the world, from the west to the east to the east to the west, like my boy on Instagram. Can't forget the up northest point to the southernest point, all parts of the map. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll be back in here tomorrow. Like I said, if it's something that anybody wants to discuss, bring to the forefront, I'll just leave it in the comments. I'll check out the comments And, we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. But we're always going to be here keeping it real on this channel. You know, we're always going to be here talking that real talk, talking about more than gossip. We not gossiping. We don't do the gossip here. We don't do the gossip here. All right. So once again, thank you for tuning in. Peace and God bless.